All right, you can start with opening comments, Coach. Want to take questions?
Sure. We're good when we get off to a good start. We got off to a good start tonight. Obviously, the offense took the opening kickoff and went right down pretty unabated. And it drove a little bit on us on the first drive. We ended up getting a stop, but then after that it was stop, score, and stop, score. We had to punt once. So it was a complete game, I think, all three phases. You know, I told our team in the locker room, I'm proud of our kids. You lose your starting tailback on Tuesday to an ACL injury. Had some guys step up, and then we didn't have a right tackle out there because of an injury. And so Alex Ahey, a fifth-year senior who's never really played here much, stepped in and did a good job. We handled their front for the most part very well in the run and the pass game. And you know, we had some guys open, and Heath got the ball to those open guys. So our offense is executing at a pretty high level. You know, it has been, I think, over the course of the last 3 or 4 weeks. Defensively, the key to the whole thing was getting the lead. We knew that. When we had the lead, you're forcing Tom Schneider to drop back and throw. That is really not what he is great at. And then secondly, it allowed our D-line to pretty much pin our ears back and really get some pressure on the quarterback. And I tell you, there was times where Dre and Rick and Brandon Allen and Pettis and Hunter were getting pressure with three-man rushes. They weren't getting necessarily sacks all the time, but we were getting them uncomfortable back in there. And really didn't give up a whole lot of big plays. And I think for the most part, to watch the tape, we tackled pretty well. Our twos didn't tackle great. We had some little bit of issues with the twos. I thought our two offense, though, was able to go around and run it pretty well. So I don't think we had any turnovers, did we? No turnovers, which that's obviously something we had harped on. And you know, we were able to get one, I think, on a fumble recovery, if I'm right. So yeah, it's an interesting crew, man. It's an interesting crew to coach. You see them perform like this and do some of the things that we did today, and they're just. Sometimes I told them in the locker room, I love them sometimes, but I hate them. So it's just, they're fun. They're fun to coach.
What is the status of Norman? Done?
Yeah, he's done. He tore his ACL, so he'll be done for the year to start the rehab process and come back. So luckily, that's a position. We've got some other guys, and then we made the move. Chris Robinson's really earned his way. We gave him some reps in the second half, and he ran hard. So.
Heath, did it feel like you needed to kind of pick up slack at all? I mean, you lose your starting tailback, who obviously had a great weekend last week.
Not really, to be honest with you. I mean, at the tailback position, like Coach Mitch said, we're so deep. Hershey, Michael, and obviously Chris today. But, I mean, obviously it's a tough loss. Norman's a great player. We're going to miss him. He's a great competitor. But I know he'll come back strong because he'll work hard and he'll get back in the swing of things. But I didn't feel like I had to pick up slack or anything like that. I just had to go out there and manage the game like I usually do and make good decisions, and I feel like tonight I did pretty well at that.
So are you upset you didn't get 7 touchdowns then?
No, 6 is fine. I mean, guys are running wide open. It's not that hard, you know.
I hope 6 is fine.
Yeah, it's good.
You had a pretty good game against Ferris last year as a freshman, or whatever it was, and so is it the rivalry, or was it the fact that you guys are getting comfortable with each other this late in the season to explain the resurgence after those 2 losses?
I mean, I think we had a really good game plan going into it. Coach Kaler put us in good looks, definitely on the offensive side of the ball. So, I mean, I don't think it's a rivalry or anything like that. I mean, we love playing Ferris. It's always a fun game to play in. But I just think we were in the right looks and we executed. And when we're playing anybody and we're executing, we can be pretty dangerous.
Pretty decent at exploiting their secondary.
Yeah.
You guys ran good routes, or was it?
I mean, yeah, there was a couple times when they're just wide open. I mean, O-line definitely did a good job protecting me, so I had all day to sit back there and kind of pat the ball and decide where I wanted to go. But there's a couple times there where, you know, Charles and Greg were running down wide open. I don't know if it was bone coverage or what it was. But, I mean, Ferris is a good team. I'm sure they'll get that cleaned up for next week. But it was fun tonight to be able to go out there and execute like that.
Coach, to you, what was the big difference in the last 4 games?
Statistically, turnovers and pass defense. From an intangible thing, just execution, better execution in all 3 phases. Especially, and you know, I sound like a broken record to Mike and some of these guys at Falls Brady, but the special teams has really picked up the last 3-4 games. It's been that kind of hidden factor I don't think a lot of people talk about. So. You know, we've just been plugging away and keep working as coaches and staff, and I think we're starting to see the fruits of the labor a little bit.
Andre, how did you feel like the defense was able to get out there and kind of handle what needed to be done?
I mean, I feel like we did exactly what we've been doing all week in practice. We ain't had no problems really execution, we was going out there doing our job, so it showed up in the game.
How different was it facing a team like this, which obviously runs some kind of trick plays and stuff like that? I mean, did it help almost in a way preparing with Lake Erie, which kind of runs some screwy type stuff too?
No, not really. I mean, it just gave us they offense gave us a chance to get out there, so that was good for the defensive line. We knew that coming into the game, so that helped us. Have the mentality that we got to get to the quarterback, and that's what we did this game. So that really helped us.
It looked like you were having fun out there too, even when the backups run. I could see you bouncing on the sideline. I mean, how nice is it to see the other guys get a chance?
I mean, it's very good because you got it's a tradition here, so you got to lead that tradition back. You got to show everybody else that it's not just all about you. You got to support your teammates. So that's what I was out there doing.
Coach, was it tough maybe thinking about giving Robinson the full year? Maybe.
It was. There's a few reasons why we did it. It wasn't just because Schuford got hurt. Chris has been having, I think Heath would attest this too. He's really been practicing well, and it's the next step. And I honestly believe that he will be one of our guys back there in 2012. And I did not want to have his first reps ever be on the road at Western Oregon. And I don't want that to be taken like that's what I'm looking for. I'm talking about specifically when it comes to Chris Robinson. He was ready. It was his next step, and like I said, I wanted to get him some game experience these last 4 games so he's ready to move forward. And that's not a diss on any other guys, but he's a talented player.
Seems like you're doing some of that other too with thinking I saw Jones in there in certain situations.
Yes,
in the secondary.
Devontae has earned that right too through practice. He has really earned the right as a redshirt freshman to play well, to get himself in there, and that's happened over the course of the last 6-7 weeks. And so that's why you're always constantly evaluating what's happening in practice. Chris Robinson, Devontae Jones, and Matt Judon and Isaiah Dunning, sawed the quarterback in half one time and was in there on some pressures. These are guys that have earned the right to get themselves a chance to play and not just sit there and watch.
How important is it to keep this thing?
It's important, especially I would say, given our struggles a little bit at the beginning of the season. Given the fact that maybe some of the league championship stuff is not in play in the playoffs and some of that stuff is done because we're there, I think you have to have things that goals that you want to focus on with your program. This was the goal this week, to keep this trophy here and beat Ferris in this rivalry. So it's important for us that this stays here. That was the goal of the week.
Coach, we talked about resiliency a few weeks ago, and it's been like night and day since the start of the year to now. What do you attest, the team almost maturation through that?
Yeah, well, like I said before, there's us losing the 3 games early was nothing to do with team chemistry issues, those type of things, stuff like that. We weren't playing good football. We were minus 11 in the turnover ratio, and we're playing great on defense, and we're tackling very well. It had nothing to do with, I don't think, a schematic issue, like our coaches screwing things up, us doing anything that team chemistry, a bunch of fighting, inbreeding, the stuff that wasn't happening in the locker room that led to those 3 games. We weren't playing football very well. And I kept, promoting that message that if you were down here in a part of this locker room, it wouldn't sense as bad as it was. It was bad, I agree. Losing those 3 games is not acceptable around here. But our guys kept showing up to work, and coaches and players, and I think you're starting to see that.
And Andre, you've been here for 4 years and lifted the trophy 4 years. How does it really go out on top against Ferris, even if it comes in a blowout match and still a rival?
It feels good, man. I mean, that's a tradition around here. We ain't lost to Ferris since, 99 or something like that. So, it's a great accomplishment. None of the other stuff is in place. So, it's a very good accomplishment for me and for the team.